is. Hardworking is someone tells you, write this paper or dig this ditch, and you do it. Having this energy is no one tells you to do anything, but you go and do a bunch of things anyway.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Making a Man. Today we have Mr. Aaron Lazaro with us, and we're really excited to have him on.
Yes, we are. Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ax. Thanks, Kevin. Huge fan of the show.
We're pretty pumped to have you on.
Yeah.
And I always, Aaron, for the people that are listening and watching this, Aaron is one of my business partners, and I've had the pleasure to know him and work with him every day. And Aaron, I got to tell you, you're probably one of the smartest people I know, but you make me laugh every day. So I love your balance of intellect, sense of humor, and work ethic. It's unparalleled. So I want to thank you for that. You're a pretty important person in my life.
I appreciate that. I've been trying to tell people I'm funny for years, but I don't get a lot of takers on that. So it's a hell of a thing working with someone who actually thinks that.
Yeah, I get your sense of humor. You make me laugh a lot.
Yeah, we have a good time. And it's definitely one of those things. X, I'm very lucky to be working with your dad and with our other business partner, Adam, who I know you know, Mr. Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's we have a good team. It's great.
Yeah.
So, you want to?
Yeah,
I know. You want to start?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So, Mr. Aaron, my dad says you're really into history, and I am too. So I noticed you have a lot of books in your background, which I read a lot too. And I noticed you have a lot of sticky notes. So you mind just pulling one out and just telling us what's on it?
Yeah.
A random book with
Just a random one.
In calls, I always see these sticky notes in all Aaron's books, and he has them marked for a reason. And Axel's like, I wonder why he marks them. And I'm like, ask him. And so we're going to just pull to a random page that you have marked and read us why you marked it.
Yeah, I'm choosing two from World War II. I mean, that's your era too, right, Ax?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love learning about like wars and stuff. I think those just really fascinate me and about the history of them.
So now I have to tell you, some of my sticky notes are well better than others. So I'll see if I have.
You just ever randomly grab a book and why did I put a sticky note there?
Absolutely, and you see, I reread these books, so some of them are different than earlier. But here's one. So this is a comment on Winston. This is a biography on Winston Churchill, my favorite biography. Churchill by Andrew Roberts. Kevin, you know the author.
Yeah,
from Napoleon.
Yep,
and
I read the Napoleon book.
Churchill was a guy who had a long career, and over the course of his career, he was right a lot, but he was also wrong a lot. The key thing is that he was right about the right things, about really the important things, and despite he knew he was right and he kept to it, even when people were telling him he was wrong. And this author in particular goes into why that is, why he was able to hold his ground. And they go into a lot of things about who the guy was. And he had this aristocratic nature. And he says that he had this confidence that could be a detriment to him. He was wrong about things. And he also wouldn't give in easily when he was wrong. But he was right about certain things, and he could hold the line on it. And it made all the difference in the end.
That's an interesting point that stuff like that comes up in our daily conversations, Aaron, because you say this a lot, and all three of us will be debating a business that we're looking at that we might want to buy, and no one's taking a stance. But if someone in the group is like, no, here's why we shouldn't do this in X, Y, Z, or yes, this is why, you always say, I'm glad that someone's taking a stance, someone showing conviction one way or the other. And so that when you just said that about him, that reminds me of that to some degree.
Yeah, that's a new thing in the way I think. Before this conversation, it does remind me, I was thinking back to when I was your age, Ax, and one of the big parts of my evolution of becoming an adult is thinking of, before high school, I never really changed my mind. And, there are times when it's so good to hold your ground and stick it out. And there are other times when maybe it's best to, in light of greater evidence, change your mind. I was thinking, are there times you feel like you've changed your mind about key things, or are you more of a hold your ground guy?
Well, he's asking you a question. Do you really hold your ground, or are you open to changing your mind?
I feel like I'm open to changing my mind, because if something happens that like I really believe in that really changes my perspective, I think I'd follow that then.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good quality.
I think so too. I think it's rare in some ways. I mean, it was not the Churchill quality, but it's being open to new things and changing your mind. I think is so valuable.
Absolutely.
I think there's humility in it.
It's a good segue, Aaron. Like, first off, you went to Wharton, you got out, you worked at an investment bank, a big investment bank, and had a lot of exposure to all types of businesses. And then we meet you and we drag you over to work with us on our projects. And if you go back to that point in time when you said you had this kind of epiphany, are there any other life lessons you look back on so far that you would share with Axe that might be helpful to him?
Well, I was going down memory lane before this call a little bit, and funny, thinking back to the first time we met, Kevin, there was something you said to me, which I didn't have an answer for, and I've been ever since. I think about the question a lot. You turned to me, and you said, Aaron, what do you have a chip on your shoulder about? What do you need to prove to people? And well, I'm trying to prove to people that I'm funny, which is an uphill battle. But
you don't need to prove to me. You make me laugh all the time.
Yeah, just everyone else.
Yeah.
But it's there were a few times in my life when I've definitely had that, and in other cases, I'm still trying to think about what that is. And for instance, at school, for sure, one of them was I got to Wharton, and I remember being very intimidated, and I wouldn't speak in class. I just assumed everyone around me was brilliant. And I didn't want to speak in class. I was nervous I was going to say something stupid. I just got here. People are from New York or from elsewhere. They're from different business backgrounds. And it took me a while. And I was actually basically an okay student there. I had 3.5 or so GPA. That's, like a B plus, A minus. And then in the last 3 semesters, I just said to myself, like, you know what? I'm smart. I'm just as smart as everyone here. And those semesters on, I only got A's and A pluses. And I just turned it on. And
it's like a mindset thing, right? Like you needed to just tell yourself, I deserve to be here.
Yeah.
I am just as good as everyone else doing this, maybe even better. Let's see how good I can be, right?
I was going to do whatever it took. And I had, 3.95 GPA that second, those last 3 semesters. You see like a stark difference at the transcript.
We talk about, he's 13, but we still talk about college. Like, where do you want to go and what do you want to do? And obviously Wharton is a prestigious institution. Can you tell us, like, what was the interview process for that? Like, were you sitting in I picture like a stuffy room and they're asking you deep questions and you're kind of on the hot seat. What was that like?
The interview process?
Yeah. Like, didn't you have to interview with someone to get in?
I had an alumni interview. I don't know how I drove up to this woman's country club and she asked me a few questions that I don't know if it was.
So it's nothing like I had in my mind.
Yeah, it was more GPA, extracurriculars. I wrote an essay to get into the school. I was president of my high school. Things like that. But,
that's a good point. Like you had the basis, you had the grades, you showed some examples of leadership by being the president of your high school. What are some of the other non-negotiables that you had to have to get in there, other than grades? And what else would you tell Axel if his desire was to go to a really good school?
Yeah, I mean, more than I would say on the desire, I would say that there are pros and cons with everything. And I think, candidly, a lot of people at that school weren't that happy. And I had a great experience. I made my best friends, and I look back on it very fondly. But the thing that comes to mind is that a lot of people felt like they were in a pressure cooker. They felt like they were competing against all these very smart people, and they had to get a job and get a great job. And all the classes were curved, which means that, okay, the person you're sitting next to is also really smart. You got to try and do better than this guy. And it takes a toll on people, I think. And so there's no free lunch. I think that you can't go wrong with where you go, and it is really what you make out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
Ax, if going back to one thing Aaron said, do you know what having a chip on your shoulder means? Do you know what that means?
I think it's like. No,
have you heard that
I'm
before?
thinking about chip off the block.
Chip off the
other block. Yeah, the other one.
Yeah. Well, chip on the shoulder is like when you got something to prove to people.
Yes.
Oh, I remember.
You want to go out and show people that you have what it takes to
Right.
succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes internally, that can drive you. Like you go to bed and thinking, "I'm going to show, I'm going to show them," like something like that. Not in a bad way, but it's a positive fuel that some people can harness, and it can lead to great things. You have a question?
Yes. So, who was your childhood hero?
It's a great question. I mean, my dad really comes to mind as a kid. I think individual traits really were impressed upon me. Being smart was very important. Being funny, having a sense of humor about the world was very important. There were definitely individual traits that were key things that I'd look for in other people, and I started to find more role models as I grew up. I remember taking an economics class in high school, and it totally blew my mind. And I found Milton Friedman online, and I watched all his videos, and he became a huge role model of mine, and that made me want to study economics in college. But I'm not sure if I have won in that way. How about yourself?
I would say probably. Or wait, what was the question again? Sorry.
Who's your hero?
Oh, my hero? This guy right here.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's a good
right
one.
here.
That's a good one.
Is not to hop back, but Ax is getting ready to go into 7th grade.
Oh,
He's
great.
going to have a little more demanding study schedule. Were there any study hacks or anything that you learned that help you retain information and do good on tests? Anything that you could share with Axel? Or is it just plow through it and repetition?
No, it was paying attention in class. It was just hard. It's it's hard to pay attention in class. Your friends are messing around. You want to do anything else. And what I did when I was in middle school and high school is I just pay close attention in class, and I wouldn't have that much work outside of class.
Mm-hmm.
Which, both roads.
That's actually good. I had to force myself, not in high school, but in college. I was like, I have to be successful here. So, everyone would sit in the back and goof around. I always sat up front and remove myself from the people that could be distracting. I mean, I would hang out with them after class, but I always viewed it as I'm here to succeed at this, and I can't be distracted while I'm here. So I think that's really good advice that I never really thought about, of simple taking good notes and paying attention and being attentive. That's a good quality.
You did that in middle school, Kevin?
No, not
distance
college.
yourself from the distraction.
In middle school, I was in the back,
Yeah.
But when I went to college, I'm like, I got in here. I have no idea how. I got to make the best of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there any other good life lessons that you would share with us that you've had throughout your journey so far?
I'm sure there are ones that I'd put to paper, but again, doing reflecting before catching up with you guys, I think being competitive is something that's probably worth talking about, and how important it is to be competitive at different things. I think it's just the driver. And I think when you look at the commonalities of all these great historical characters, it's really not being intelligent. It's not even being the most hardworking. It's having this energy that drives you, and that's different than being hardworking. Because hardworking is someone tells you write this paper or dig this ditch, and you do it. Having this energy is no one tells you to do anything, but you go and do a bunch of things anyway. You write a book, or in the case of some of the people we read about, you lead an army, or you rise to the top of the government. And so it's just that energy that is the common factor in all of the great people.
That's an interesting point because it's like it's also this self-belief that you're like here for a purpose and driven to that purpose no matter what it takes, right?
Yeah, I think it's not a coincidence that while Winston Churchill was the prime minister for many years, that he was also a war hero that fought in 5 wars on 4 continents, that he wrote over 40 books, that he was a correspondent for newspapers, that he was always with groups of people smoking cigars and drinking champagne. He was doing so much. I think it's not a coincidence that someone who's successful at one thing is successful at other things.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because, like, if you have the flame and, like, confidence and the, like, resilience to keep pushing, you can probably do that with a bunch of other things.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think the flame is hugely
The flame.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep yourself going. Do you have a favorite World War II character, Axe? Or battle or story?
I cannot stop thinking about, it was, on the, I forgot which coin it was, but where they're all, like, holding up the flag. Yeah, that was the, it was like they all came up the hills. That was my favorite battle.
You like Winston Churchill too, though.
Oh,
You've read some
yeah.
stuff on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy was a great character in history. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What about what's an underrated skill that's kind of helped you to be where you're at today?
Wow, underrated skill. I not to belittle the point, but I think humor is so important because I think it can make someone less brittle. I think people I've come across who have no sense of humor, every small thing that happens to them is the worst thing that could ever happen. It's the straw on the camel's back. But if you can laugh about it, then the small things really aren't so bad, and it's much easier to shake yourself off and go and tackle the next hurdle.
Yeah, we talk about sometimes like stop being a victim. You can look at the bright side of this. You're learning something. It seems like a failure now, or it seems brutal, but laugh about it and learn from it and move on. It's good advice, Aaron.
What are your guys' routines for when things get pretty tough? How do you end up swallowing the hard day?
What do you do?
I just take a deep breath and think about it for a while. Usually,
Really?
this is kind of weird, but if I just take like a warm shower, it helps me think. I always think the best in the shower. Yeah.
Do you write things down?
No, not really. I think I should though. I think that's like a good step. I just never got to be able to do it.
You blast music and I hear you singing Sinatra sometimes, when I walk by your bathroom.
What's your favorite Sinatra song?
Oh, New York is really good, but I think My Way is one of the best. I like it. Oh, wait, no. Strangers in the Night. That's Final Answer.
Strangers in the Night.
That's
Let's go, Kevin.
We're going to do karaoke after this.
Yeah. You got to be the only 13-year-old kid who likes Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. There's not a lot. Everyone at my school is into rap, and I am too sometimes.
He likes Frank Sinatra and Metallica, so it's a wide range.
Yeah, it's really
It's a very wide range.
very
Hard to know how
diverse.
to dress, huh?
Yeah, Sinatra knew how to dress. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I think that's great, Ax. One of the things that I've been thinking about more lately, even aside from my pre-podcast prep, is just being more reflective. I'm not a reflective person. I'm trying to be what's next person. I throw out things that I don't need anymore. But I think being reflective is so valuable.
Yeah.
It's good for
It helps you learn.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's actually very rare at your age to be that reflective. Because I think it's easy to, something bad happens, you don't consider it. You just throw it out or you try and get over it. You're really thinking about it afterwards, which I'm not sure I've ever heard anyone at your age doing that.
Yeah.
I think
like being retrospective is a really good quality too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Any questions? Anything else?
I got one more.
Okay.
Hit me.
What would you say is the biggest sacrifice that you've ever made to get to where you are right now?
That's a good one.
Biggest sacrifice. Well, I don't know about a sacrifice entirely, but one hurdle I had was my sophomore year, my freshman second semester of college. I had a concussion and I had to take that semester off from college. And at that point in my life, I didn't really know what was going to come next. I just got into college. I thought I was done. And all of a sudden, I was back at home, and it was a case of, geez, what am I going to do? Am I going to be able to get back to college? Am I going to be able to continue my classes? And that was a really stressful time in my life. So, call it a sacrifice or otherwise, getting back to it and getting back to work was a big one.
So did you have to take those classes over again, or
the classes the second semester? I had to take them again. So
when you went back, you had to take your regular classes and then add on another workload and spread those out, take them again?
Well, I was going to so I wanted to still graduate with my class, so I just had to take more classes every semester. Which was nerve-wracking too. But I mean, the hardest part for me was just the mental of like, am I a changed person? Am I not as smart as I was? Have I lost something? And a lot of it was a mental psych out. And just getting back to things, hanging out with a few good guys at college, really, really turned things around and made a huge difference. Very proud and happy of myself for getting back from that.
We had one of the things I get asked a lot of, like this, the title of the show is Making a Man, and they're like, well, what do you think it takes to be a man? And I've said, there's some manly things certainly, but for the most part, it is like some of the, I want Axel to be a man of character and someone that is very reflective, someone that not afraid to take calculated risk and believe in themselves. And so I think it's much more and have intellect, like believe in their instinct over someone else's intellect. Like some of the topics we've talked about. I have this picture of, I said this before, probably on this podcast, but I look at this picture of Steve Jobs when he was young in India, and he learned over there that two things he learned is that he wanted to believe in his instinct more than other people's intellect that would tell him, no, this can't be done, but he believed that it could be done. So he was going to follow his instinct more. And the second thing was to simplify, like people try to overcomplicate things. I'm going to make things as simple as possible. And I think that's reflective in, the iPhone, when it came out, it's pretty easy to use and it's intuitive, and things like that are important. So I think the things that Aaron has brought up today, Axel, are super important. Yeah. And, sometimes we have Army veterans and war heroes and athletes and people that have accomplished great things physically and athletically, but you can accomplish so much with your mind. And you've got to be able to put the work in and believe in yourself. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I had one other question for you, Ax, that I was thinking about.
Mhm.
When I was thinking about being your age too, along those lines, the thing that me and my friends would always talk about is whenever you get a subject that you didn't really like or that you weren't good at, you'd
Mhm.
go hang out with your friends and you'd say, when am I going to need to use fractions in a job
You
one
said that
day,
before.
right?
You said that.
When am I
Right,
going to need to
like-
factor something, or what
Yeah.
am I going to need to do? And it's a great argument because you won't. You're right. Fractions maybe, but some of the advanced algebra, it's like I don't think I'm doing this. I see my parents at work and they're not doing too much algebra.
Yeah. It's like,
So my
when
question
did
for
they
you
add
is,
letters into numbers.
oh, sorry, what's that?
It's like, when did they add letters into math? Like, what's the point of it?
Every once in a while I wheel it out, but I'll tell you, the more you keep going with it, you're going to be the more like, they're definitely not doing this. My question for you was, are there talents you think you or your friends have that don't get tested in school?
Yes. I feel like a lot of the time, because a lot of kids hate public speaking, and I think we need more of that. Because
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of kids at our school that are good at public speaking and some that need to work on it. And
Interesting.
in life, you can use that to get like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like public speaking and being confident, because
Yeah.
public speaking can build confidence. And I think a lot of our kids need that, or like a lot of my fellow.
It's scary. A lot of
Yeah.
people, it's their
Yeah.
biggest fear of getting up in front of people and speaking, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's a lot of things in school you and I have talked about that are like softer skills. Like 1 in 9 jobs in the U.S. are revolved around selling, but no one teaches professional selling.
Yeah.
How do you learn about and ask a lot of good questions about what someone might need, and how do you come up with solutions to help them?
Yeah.
Even entrepreneurship, right? Some of the most widely successful people in this country started businesses, and we don't teach that kind of stuff.
I'm sure that 1 in 9 stat is an underestimate.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not selling a product, you're selling yourself.
Yes.
And I think one of the things we do that you need to get comfortable asking people for things, because an adult can always say no. That's the worst that can happen. And that's similar to public speaking acts, because you're asking people to listen to you and pay attention to you, and they can say no. And that's what's so scary. They can say, I don't care about this.
There was this made me think of, we were setting up after a round of golf, and Axel was with me, and there was I won't say his name, but there was a professional football player that was up there. That was a quarterback, and Axel was like, I'm going to go get him on our podcast. And I'm like, all right. And he just walked right up to him and shook his hand, introduced himself. And he's like, I saw him over there talking, and I saw the guy kind of talking to him. And then the guy's wife came up and started talking. And then Axe came running back, and he's like, I need a pen. I'm going to give him my number. His wife told him that he has to do it. And so he's like, all right. So he got his number, but he's texted him, and he's never texted him back. So
I'm still waiting. I still have him in my contacts. Whenever someone, whenever I need to
he probably
impress
changed
someone,
his
I'm
phone number because Axe kept texting him.
I love that. I think that's worth $1 million.
Yeah.
I think that skill. I really think that 99 out of 100 people, myself included, I'll say, would not have gone up to him.
Yeah, it is a good skill, because you have to do that in order to have opportunities. And even though that one didn't work, it still might. He hasn't said no yet, so you just keep trying until someone says no. Stop calling.
You had nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Exactly.
What's going to happen to you if he says no? You go home. You play golf.
That's such a good point. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
The guy says, "Get away from me, scram, kid." And you're like, okay, I'll never root for you again.
Even though football season's starting up, I'm gonna just hit him a call.
Yeah. How's practice going? You can keep texting him.
That's funny. How's practice?
How's the practice going? I don't see a text back yet.
I heard you're not starting.
Maybe if you did more podcasts, a little more reflective on why you can't throw the ball.
Aaron, this has been awesome. I appreciate you spending time with Axel and myself. I know we talk all day and putting up with me for a little bit more. I appreciate it. Ax, it means a lot to him as well. So thanks for this.
Oh, thank you guys. This is awesome.
All right. We're going to sign off. We always try to get a good. Oh, that was pretty good.
Really good.
All right. Thanks,
See you
Aaron.
guys.
All right.
Thanks for joining us today on Making a Man. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with others. Together, we can keep inspiring and guiding the next generation. Thank you. See you next time.
Oh!